Hi, Hayden here, and this video is on the first year law students examination prep playlist for my YouTube channel. This one here is covering multiple choice questions, and I want to jump on the MCQ versus MBE issue right away. Let me explain. The National Committee of Bar Examiners, that's the NCBE, they create, own, control, and operate the multi-state bar examination. That is the MBE. It's not what you're going to see on the first year law students examination. So they have MBEs, but you're going to see MCQs. And what's the difference? Well, other than the ownership factor and the fact that these are not what you're going to see, the MCQs are owned, operated, and controlled by the California Bar. So with that, you have that locked in your mind. MBEs are not MCQs. The MCQs are proprietary to the California Bar's first year law students examination. They're owned and controlled and evolved by the California Bar. Let me give you some disclaimers because I'm about to discuss product, and none of the product, services, or websites that I'm going to discuss has paid me any consideration for talking about them in the video. I'm giving you my own personal opinions based on my actual experience in preparing for and passing the first year law students examination. With that, I'm going to talk about the types of materials, and there's three types. I'm going to talk about two right away. The first one is materials that are made up of made-up materials. They've actually created the questions, answered them, and they provide us answers for why their right answer is right and why the wrong answers are wrong. That's a very important part of the process. I have to have answers that tell me why the right answer is right and why the wrong answer is wrong, because without the complete picture, to me, the product is worthless, absolutely worthless. The first two materials, actually all the materials I'm going to talk about have questions, answers, and explanations, and the explanations not just tell us why the right answer is right, they tell us why the wrong answers are wrong. Keep in mind, sometimes the answer is just so incredibly wrong, they'll say because it's wrong. Okay, so with that, when I signed up for law school, I used a program from Fleming's Fundamental of Law. It was a baby bar prep program or something like that, first year survival kit, whatever they're called, whenever you pick yours up. It might have a different name, but it covers torts, contracts, and criminal law, basically aiming towards passing the first year law students examination. One of the books in his materials is a multiple choice book that has about 376 questions. In my this one was published in 2006. You may have a different edition, and that's perfectly fine. But in this one here, in his materials, the questions and everything are laid out in two columns. That's really one of the important things I wanted to discuss. It's in two columns. In my recollection, that the first year law students examination multiple choice questions are 2 columns per page. So that's kind of a thing. Gives you a good sight picture of what you're going to be expecting on exam day. Now with Fleming's materials, by the way, and in Fleming's books, those are made up questions. They don't meet the design and logic of the actual first year law students examinations you're going to see on exam day, and they're not retired MBEs. They're neither one of those. They are standalone questions. Another book that has the most difficult standalone questions that I received, that I prepared with, also came in the Fleming's package. And this is some real light reading for you. Now, this covers the entire MBE process, but I used to call it the Green Book, but I know different editions come in different layouts and formats and colors. And but this is the Finz Book, okay? When I say the Finz Book, this is what I'm talking about. This particular book also has the questions laid out in 2 columns per page. Again, I'm just showing you in general what you're going to see on exam day. Now, the Finz book from Emmanuel's explains that these are not MBEs. They are not even retired MBEs, but this is their product where they are as closely as possible to MBE-like questions, so you can have a very good understanding of what you might be up against on exam day for the MBE later on. For the first year law students examination, you only have to worry about torts, contracts, and criminal law. This came with my Fleming's package of materials, and I found that to be the most difficult set of questions I ever worked with. And the value of all of these products, by the way, is that because they have the question, answer, and explanation of why the right answers were right and why the wrong answers are wrong, that allows me at times to pick up issues or concepts or things that I wasn't really getting 100%, but because of their explanations, that's what hammered it home. So the study part of it for me was actually in the explanations aspect of that. At this point, I'm going to jump into 2 products that do use retired MBEs as their basis for their products. They're both websites. I don't have anything to really hold up for you. But AdaptiBar and BarMax, because that's alphabetical. But AdaptiBar uses retired MBE questions, and anytime you need to use AdaptiBar, like say you didn't pass an exam and you got to take it again, you pay for it again. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I really haven't checked in a while, but AdaptiBar charged me, I used it twice, and they charged me each time a new charge. I think they have a discounted rate if you're a repeater, so they may discount the price or whatever, I can't remember specifically, but you do pay for it each time you use it. BarMax, on the other hand, charges you once, and that's it. You're done. Until you pass the first year law students examination, you won't pay them again. And then you'll be paying them for the MBEs later on for the big bar exam. They also have a whole lot of materials. Both of these programs, I think, provide a series of product to try to help prepare for the entire exam. So that's something to keep in mind. You'll have to look into it yourself later on down the road, however you want to work with it. But BarMax is the one, I prefer BarMax because knowing what I know, they both offer good products, but I really only want to pay once in case I do have to repeat. I failed the first year law school examination 5 times, so I know a little bit about repeating an exam. With that, AdaptiBar was the first program I used, and it gave me, using AdaptiBar is what allowed me to know. I absolutely positively knew in my mind that I had more than enough time to complete the 100 questions within the 3 hours. So we all have that same theoretical 1.8 minutes to answer each question. I knew after using AdaptiBar for a while that I was absolutely positively going to have more than enough time to get through the 100 questions during the exam. Again, all these materials, whether it's AdaptiBar, BarMax, the Finz Book, or the Fleming book, all of these multiple choice question products can help you get concepts that will help you out on the essay side of the exam. With that in mind, I'm going to go to a series of books here. These are the Siegel's books, and this is one. They have one for torts, contracts, and criminal law. So torts. This is torts. No, wrong. Let's put them in the right order. We got torts, contracts, and criminal law. All right. This is my most recent version of the books. I haven't used Siegel's beyond the first year law students examination, though I understand that the other books from other students have told me that the other books have been helpful to them as well. So I have nothing bad to say about them. I love the books. There's another item, however, that you should be familiar with. That item is the June 1980 Form A First Year Law Students Examination Multiple Choice Questions. This is a product that the California Bar actually used to sell. If you didn't know any better, I did the research, I know. I have the order form for the actual document, and even though the California Bar folks may not know that they used to sell this thing, they did. I got the order form right from the California Bar website, and it basically describes that you can buy the June 1980 Form A multiple choice questions. That's the only 100 questions that they've ever released to the general public. You could have bought it with an answer key for $1.50. I think it would have cost more to print and mail the thing than they were charging for it, so really they were pretty much giving them away. Maybe they were giving me the wholesale cost on paper and printing, I don't know. But somebody would have had to do that. Anyway, so the bottom line there is California Bar used to sell these, so nobody ripped anything off, nobody stole anything. They just stopped selling them. As a matter of fact, they stopped selling them so long ago. This is 1980. They stopped selling that exam so long ago. The folks at the California Bar, when I contacted them via email to ask them about how I can acquire such material, they said, no, we never had that. We never offered that and everything. So it was kind of confusing to me because I had the order form in one hand and the exam in another. But those are the only 100 multiple choice questions ever released. And I found a website, I found a link. On a website, I found the materials. That's where I got mine. And I provided the link to that website on my website. Over time, that link died. So that link was no longer available, but I did have my electronic copy of that particular PDF, and I uploaded my copy to my website, and I provide a link to you. I'll have a link down below, by the way. That'll get you to my website, and I'll tell you how to get to the prep page. But the prep page, no matter what the date is on my prep page, go look at the prep page. It will have a link to the June 1980 Form A multiple choice questions. And it has an answer key. But here's the thing, okay? Almost, you don't even need that, and honestly, but by all means get it. It's not going to cost you anything. Compare those questions to the questions in the back of these books. And by the way, the multiple choice questions are in the back part of the books. But go through and you will find that nearly 100% of those questions are covered in the Siegels on torts, contracts, and criminal law. In fact, let's take the torts book, and I want to read to you a paragraph from the front of the book. All right. If you print this out, if you take a picture of your screen and print it out or something, make a picture of it, this is the paragraph right here I'm going to read to you. So I'm not lying to you. It's really here. It really exists. But this is the paragraph I'm about to read to you. So let me make sure it's in focus. All right. So you know I'm not teasing you. I'm not lying. The authors gratefully acknowledge the assistance of the California Committee of Bar Examiners, which provided access to questions on which some of the essay questions in this book are based. That same preamble's in every one of these books. I'm pointing at you can't see. But in all three of these books, they get the same acknowledgement to the California Committee of Bar Examiners there. So Siegel's authors and publishers had access to questions when they developed these questions, all right? So even if they're not the exact questions that you're going to see on the exam, the value of this is, well, it's the same value as the other one. They might help you with understanding concepts you need to know for the essays, but they also meet the same design and logic of the questions that I'm telling you, okay? It would behoove you to know these. Memorize all 299 of these questions and completely understand why the right answer is right, why the wrong answers are wrong, because I'm telling you it will assist you on the first year law student's examination because you'll have a better understanding of the design and logic. You're not memorizing the answers. You're not going to find all the questions on your multiple choice question exam are not going to be out of these books. This is not the entire question bank from the exam, all right? It's not even a good portion of it. But some of the questions in here would certainly relate to the design and logic of the questions you're going to see on your first year law student's examination. With that, so the Siegel's books, all right? Learn, memorize. I want to talk to you about one more thing that would change a right answer to wrong. I'm not going to go through it, but I have the instructions written on my website. Now that I've said the word, the instructions. When you go into the second half of the day, your mind is mush. Maybe you ate lunch, maybe you didn't. Maybe you're kind of feeling a little weak and queasy. Maybe you just threw up in the front of the building. When you go back in the afternoon and you're going to sit for the first year law student's examination, multiple choice questions. You got 3 more hours of your day. You get 100 questions, 100 multiple choice questions. Go. Well, before they said go, before they say begin, they flipped you over to the back of the book, back of the exam booklet, and on the back of the booklet there's exam instructions. Those instructions tell you how you have to answer the question. I made a promise to myself to read and reread those instructions 4 or 5 times during the exam. This is how vitally important that was to me. I needed to get 73 multiple choice questions correct. I wanted above 80, but I needed to get a 73, or even with my average of 65 on the essays, I was going to fail. If I hit 72, I failed. The highest score I ever had happened to be a 72. I needed to get 73 or better. The instructions from the back of the book can change a right answer to wrong. In the multiple choice question exam booklet that I hit a torts question on negligence. I looked at the question, I read it, and I said, oh, that's easy. And I circled the right answer. Oh, and you know I was right. The very next question, thankfully, the very next question was on negligence in torts. I'm like, bam, that's easy. I nailed that one too. And I'm like, oh, that was easy, or was it? At that point, I flipped over the back of the book and I read the instructions again. Now, that was the first time I reread them. We already went over them once. I reread them for the first time myself during the exam at the second time I saw that question. And for me, thankfully, it was at the very beginning of the exam, and I went back and I changed both of those answers. I'm telling you, they're the first answers I changed, and they're the only answers from that point forward that I changed, from question number 1 to whatever questions they were. I didn't change any of the previous questions, but I changed those too. This is what I'm going to tell you. I needed 73 to pass. That was number 73 and number 74 that I needed for insurance. The instructions from the back of the multiple choice exam booklet are exactly what I needed for me to be able to pass the first year law students examination in October 2014. So with that, the Siegel's books are the best bet for the multiple choice questions, in my personal opinion. They thank the California Bar for allowing them access to look at their questions, which are based on some of the questions they have in their particular books. And if you look at the June 1980 Form A questions and you compare them to these three books, almost 100% of the June 1980 Form A questions are covered in the Siegel's books. So with that, I hope that it all makes sense to you. You all get the strength of it. There's only 299 questions. There's 100 torts, 100 criminal law, and only 99 contracts for some reason. But there's only 299 questions. I memorized all of these. I could bang out all 299 questions in less than 30 minutes. Maybe not today, but if you give me a couple of days to bone up on it, I'd be there. And I'd be 100% correct, and I would know why the right answers are right, and I'd know why the wrong answers are wrong. The Siegel's books cover the same design and logic of the questions you're actually going to see on exam day. The Fleming and the Finz book have made up questions that will assist you on understanding things that you need to know for the essays. AdaptiBar and BarMax will give you information that will help you out in the same way, and they also kind of get you geared up for the MBE later on, because that's really what they're preparing for at that point. Know the instructions from the back of the exam booklet. How in the world can you possibly know that? Is because I found them and I published them on my website. If you go to my website, I have the link below for how to get to my website and instruction on how to get to the prep page for the first year law student examination. And on that page, I will have the link for I'll have the printed out instructions. I have them published right there on my page. And I also have the link for the June 1980 Form A multiple choice questions. So with that, I hope you found this video helpful to you. Like, subscribe, enjoy, share. And until I catch you in the next video, take care and be well.